Hey, what's up, everybody? BDL 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so the Lakers are back. The Lakers are back, man, after a two-game postponement due to the fires in Los Angeles. Thank you for everybody for supporting LA, all of the people all over the world who've been reaching out to us and trying to see that we're okay. We're getting there, but we still have a long way to go, a very, very long way to go. So, but with that being said, it's time to get back to the sport that we love, and prayers out to everybody who's going through the worst of that. So, this is the situation, man. The Los Angeles Lakers are playing the San Antonio Spurs. We were supposed, of course, to have a game against them on the 11th, which is 2 days ago. Didn't happen, but we will see them on this one. So it kind of saves us from that back-to-back nonsense or two-game against the same team nonsense. The Spurs are on a 3-game losing streak, and as I look at what they've been up to, of course, because our game was postponed, they haven't played since the 8th, and that was against the Milwaukee Bucks, where they did get a loss there. Dame went for 26 points. Keldon Johnson went for 24 and 11, so you got to keep an eye open for him rebounding the ball and such. Chris Paul had a pretty big game with 18 points on 5 of 6 from behind the arc. So that's something to pay attention to. Of course, they had some down guys too. Stephon Castle, 2 of 12 from the field, 0 of 5 from behind the arc, and Champagny went for 3 of 11 from the field, 3 of 9 from behind the arc. So those are the cold hands in the last one for them, and they lost by like 16 points or something like that to the Bucks in Milwaukee. So that's real tough, but it speaks to where they're at. They're kind of an okay team at this point. 19 and 19 is their record as of right now. No, 18 and 19, excuse me. And they want to climb up to 500 against us if at all possible. We can't let it happen. Before the Bucks game, they had a game against the Bulls, real tight game, but it ultimately came down to the Bulls pulling away down the stretch. Got to give credit to Kobe White with a big one-hand flush in that game. Zach LaVine was special in that one as well, 35 points, 8 assists, 10 rebounds. Vucevic had a pretty big game, 24 points, 3 assists, 11 rebounds. Kobe White, 23 points, 4 steals, 4 assists. So they just really had a lot coming at them with the Bulls. Sticks came off the bench for 9 points, 8 rebounds, 1 assist. So, that would be Jalen Smith, for those who are wondering. I always call him that since he was with the Phoenix Suns early in his career. So, this is a tough Chicago Bulls team that's kind of along the same lines of the Spurs. And they just kind of met their match. But it was a really close game. And they had 7 players in double figures, San Antonio. Sohan with 11, Barnes with 10, Wemby with 23, Paul with 18, Champagny had 12, Keldon Johnson had 11, and Stephon Castle had 10. So, this is a very productive game for the Spurs, even though they did ultimately lose it. Wemby, of course, going for his numbers, 23, 8 blocks, 14 rebounds, 4 assists. You can pretty much expect him to start doing stuff like that more often. 8 blocks is not crazy for the type of length and height that he provides. Sohan, trying to get himself, work his way back from injury. He's up and down. He's a day-to-day right now, so he may play, may not kind of thing. But with the team being off since the 8th, I'd imagine if he feels good enough to go, you can expect that he would play tonight. So they're almost healthy. They only have one other person on the injury report besides that. This is a San Antonio team with Devin Vassell. Chris Paul, obviously, as I just mentioned, the last 2 games, been playing at a high level. Keldon Johnson as well. Trey Jones, young player off the bench that they use, the point guard spot. Stephon Castle, of course, high-level rookie, who really isn't shooting very well, but can help you in other areas on both sides of the floor. Very, very cerebral player who can make assists happen as well. He's going to project to be a fantastic player someday. Harrison Barnes on this team, so this is a team you got to respect. Champagny's been scoring a lot this year, kind of having somewhat of a breakout with them. Zach Collins off the bench, you know what he can do. He's going to, have a chip on his shoulder at all times. So we respect the San Antonio Spurs. We've already seen them twice. We beat them both of those games. But, with them being on a 3-game losing streak and coming off a rest, maybe they're a little rusty, maybe they're well rested. So we can't be the rusty team. We definitely can't do that against this young squad with the type of length and talent that they're playing with, and the type of leadership that is also available in Barnes and Chris Paul. So, to continue what we're looking at there, they played 2 games back-to-back against the Denver Nuggets that they split. The home team lost in both of those games. The second game, of course, since we're counting backwards, was a game where they lost 122-111. And, of course, Jokic did something crazy, as he always does. Yep, 46 points, 10 assists, 9 rebounds, 2 blocks, 2 steals, 19 of 35 shooting. So they, forced him to being a scorer, and he's did exactly that. So, Michael Porter had a pretty big game, double-double with 28 points, 10 rebounds in that one. Jamal Murray went for 13 points and 5 steals. So, that's kind of what it was for them. Going up against the Denver Nuggets in an overtime matchup, which is key, where Wemby went for 20 and 23. Yes, 20 points, 23 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 4 blocks. Wemby's playing MVP level basketball right now himself. And you hate to run into him when he's playing like this. Harrison Barnes had a good game against the Denver Nuggets in that one. 8 of 14 from the field, 4 of 8 from behind the arc, 50% for shooting from the 3. Keep an eye open for Harrison Barnes hitting threes tonight. Devin Vassell had a pretty decent game, 8 of 20 from the field, 1 of 6 from behind the arc. His numbers from behind the arc have been a little cold, but he's working his way back from injury too. We know what Devin Vassell can do, because I told y'all last year in one of the random games we played against San Antonio that Devin Vassell was a problem, and he went off for his career high against us, and we proceeded to lose that basketball game in San Antonio. So we know they have certain players that are going to play well against us. Devin Vassell is probably somebody you should circle tonight as a player of emphasis on the defensive side of the ball. Pay attention to him. You got to guard him, or he's going to go off. And they had, once again, 6 players in double figures in that loss. Steph Castle with 10, Keldon Johnson with 10, Champagnie with 10, Devin Vassell with 19, Wemby with 20, of course, and Harrison Barnes with 22, as we've already said. So, this is a team that's been playing some pretty good team ball. They've been finding production in multiple areas. They can't seem to get things together quite right defensively, but just like us, they have a fantastic defensive lengthy center in the paint, ready to block a million shots and take steals from you and be a defensive player of the year candidate every year from here on out. So that's how it's going for them there. And then, of course, the game before that, it was against the Denver Nuggets, as we already mentioned, where they did get the win. Another close victory for the Spurs, where they won 113-110 in that one. Very close basketball game. Of course, Wemby did Wemby things. 35 points, 2 blocks, 1 steal, 4 assists, and 18 rebounds. You got to try to do something to get this ball off the glass. I know it's not easy, but we do have to try our best to keep him off of that. Devin Vassell, again, 18 points, 2 steals, 6 assists, so he was having a good stretch during that process. 15 points for Champagnie off the bench, 16 points for Keldon Johnson. So they're getting good bench production, particularly in the scoring column, night to night. And that's something to pay attention to. And that's kind of how they went. They played 2 close games against the Denver Nuggets back-to-back, a team that we have a very difficult time competing with. So the game is a game of matchups. We know that. Basketball is not always a perfect sport. Just because you beat them don't mean that they can beat you. Just because they lost to somebody, that kind of thing. Just because you beat that team that they just beat doesn't mean that you can beat them, is what I'm trying to say. So before that, they blew the Clippers all the way out. Absolutely all the way out. It wasn't even close. San Antonio won that game 122-86. It's how they stomped all over the Clips, man. It was ugly. It was hideous. It was diabolical. It's ferocious, man. Wemby went for 27, 5, and 9 with 3 blocks there and a steal. 15 points for Steph Castle off the bench. They used a lot of players off of their bench that game. More players than I even thought they had. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 people played on their bench in that blowout. Unbelievable how they found a way to do that. But, you got to respect some of these guys that don't get to play very much. Malachi Branham, Blake Wesley is a player I would love to pick up. They're not utilizing him to the best of what I think he's capable of. He's better than the minutes he's getting in San Antonio. They're just a little log jam at his position. I would say go get him right now. Stephon Castle had a good game in that with 15 points, 1 block, 1 steal, 4 assists. That's kind of the stats you can get from that player. But if you notice in these games, he's always been a very good plus-minus player. Stephon Castle, good things happen when he's on the floor. Even though his stats aren't going to wow you, he helps a little bit in a lot of categories. His shooting numbers are usually pretty poor from behind the arc. He's not a three-point shooter by any stretch of the imagination. But like I said, a good passer, a good defender, can drive at the rim, very intelligent. Stephon Castle is somebody to also circle tonight to do those type of things. So, just Chris Paul playing at a high level, man. Sort of a throwback type of year. I'm not saying he's putting up throwback numbers, but he's a healthy version of himself. He's contributing in defensive areas. 3 steals in this one against the Clippers. And just trucking along, man. One of those guys whose career is extending well past what you would expect. He's taking care of himself and found himself in a San Antonio situation where he really fits in and is really providing them what they need. And you got to circle him as well as somebody who obviously can hurt you tonight. So, this Clipper game was just crazy though. I mean, I'm looking at the stats of the Clippers, and they just had a bad Bones Highland night. They've been working him back into the equation. He's been cold. Not a whole lot of good efficiency from the bench at all. Their bench guys really were cold and got a little something out of Norman Powell, but 3 of 10 from behind the arc didn't help him. So that's kind of what it was. The Spurs just stumped all over them at home. Clippers shot 34% from the field, 26% from behind the arc, attempting 41 shots. I mean, from behind the arc, that's hideous, man. Both teams shot very poorly from behind the arc. Spurs shot even worse, believe it or not, 9 of 40 for 22% from behind the arc. So that was a 3-point shooting brick contest, but ultimately the Spurs just crushed them on the glass, 58-41, and really had much more team ball going on, 37-17. So continuity. We talk about that on our team as well. As I said, you need about 30 assists to be able to compete in this league, and you get 17. There's no coincidence you get blown out, Clippers. The Lakers had this issue as well in a game very recently where we only had a couple of team assists somewhere in the 15-something range, and we got our butts kicked pretty good against the Dallas Mavericks, a shorthanded Dallas Mavericks team where we really embarrassed the hell out of ourselves in that one. It's been some time since 2 games were postponed. Hopefully we've licked our wounds. Got some good news on Vanderbilt. He's closer to coming back, although he is out for tonight. But we haven't played since the 7th, so we're in a space where we probably have been able to do a little homework on this team. Obviously, condolences to JJ Redick on losing his home. So I don't know how much focus he's been able to throw into this situation, but our team is definitely in need of a strong bounce back set of victories coming up here to kind of make up for what we did in Texas, which was not very good. Your Lakers went for what? 21-12 for Anthony Davis, which is good, but not enough in a game like that. Braun was 6 of 12, 18 points, 10 rebounds, 8 assists, so he was very good, only 2 turnovers there. We love that from Braun, but Austin was bad, 5 of 14 from the field, 4 of 11 from behind the arc. We love the 1 turnover, but it's just not enough production there. When other guys aren't really be able to do it, man. Christie was 5 of 9 for 12 points. We like Christie scoring what he'd been giving us before the layoff there. Dorian Finney-Smith had his best game against the Dallas Mavericks, his old club, 3 of 4 from behind the arc, 11 points. So we love his shot was starting to fall. But we just couldn't get it together, man. Jackson Hayes had a bad game where he went for 4 fouls in like 2 minutes or something like that. It was ridiculous how many fouls he picked up in such a short flurry. And Gabe Vincent was cold and kind of ran around for 24 minutes, did nothing. But Dalton Connect started finding his way. 2 of 5 from behind the arc, 5 of 8 from the field. I did get on this case for not rebounding the ball these last 2 games. So hopefully he can get back into his rebounding ways. So with this much time off, I just think that some of the DNA of this game that we had here against the Dallas Mavericks is probably far and away from what we're going to show tonight. Hopefully we don't carry any of that bad stuff into this game because we were totally embarrassed. That's what it was. It was an absolute embarrassment. That's just really what it is. We haven't had a chance to get back on the floor since. So we're ready. I think our team is ready. I hope that the city is ready for us. We're still fighting fires, I believe. I haven't done any checkups on the fires today, but last I checked, they were still burning, and the winds are starting to pick up now. So it could get a little ugly, and hopefully it doesn't. But I would tell everybody to brace themselves for more postponements if this thing kicks up the way that they're telling us it may throughout the course of the week. Talking about some real bad weather to fight fires in, and tornadoes warnings for Tuesday and Wednesday, believe it or not. So yeah, it's getting crazy around here in LA, man. But we're going to play some basketball tonight, trying to think about it. It's 7:30 p.m. Pacific, 10:30 Eastern, against the San Antonio Spurs, of whom we've already seen twice. We got them in both of those games. 120 to 115 in the first game, 119, 101 in the second game. So we felt pretty good about those wins. And with the third game postponed, we will see what the schedule will be in regards to them and the Charlotte game somewhere down the road. It hasn't been scheduled as of yet. But tonight's game is on, man. We will see them here tonight. It's going to be a Laker City theme night. We're going to wear our Lake Show jerseys and have our Lake Show black floor out there, which should be pretty cool to see as usual. And the Spurs are going to have on some type of beige city jersey type thing going on. I don't know that I've seen these jerseys, to be honest with you. Try to find the link here to what it is I just saw so I can show them to you guys. And I'm very happy that I can do that. As long as I have access to Wi-Fi, I can use that second phone to give you them stats. So hopefully we can keep that quality going for the rest of the season. There will be times where I'm not going to be able to access Wi-Fi, but hopefully those will be far and in between with what I now can do here with that. Maybe. We'll see how it goes. If for some reason that doesn't work out, then it's, it just is what it is. But for now, it looks like I'll be able to do my stat thing, which is okay. It's okay. I like being able to do that. So, yeah, the Laker uniforms are going to be the black ones, purple fades, and the Spurs will be wearing this kind of bluish, I don't know what that color is, gray, maybe blue something, San Antonio. So, yeah, that's what they're going to wear on our floor. We're going to wear those Lake Shows and try to get a victory on a floor that we haven't won a whole lot on. I think we're, 1-2 on that alternate floor, so we need to get our act together in that regard, and hopefully the Los Angeles Lakers do that, man. I want to win tonight. Our city needs to win. We're fighting our way. I think we're right now in 5th or 6th place last I checked, but of course we're still in that log jam with like 5 or 6 other teams who definitely are going to continue to make things fluctuate. Players coming back from injury, that kind of thing. So the NBA is going to look a little different, in my opinion, going forward with some of these teams starting to get their act together as they get healthier. It's not as simple playing against Philly right now. It's not as simple playing against Orlando now that they got some guys coming back. New Orleans has some guys coming back. They got to figure out how much they want to tank now that they're getting a little healthier. So these are the type of things to pay attention to. Sacramento hasn't lost since we played them in that 3 games in 7 days and beat the hell out of each one of those games. They haven't lost a game since then. So the NBA's switching up, man. They've pulled themselves back into the play-in tournament range, and we still got a lot of work to do to keep ourselves above the fray. Is essentially what I'm trying to tell all of you guys. So we're in 6th place. If everything were to, end right now, we play the Memphis Grizzlies on the road in the playoffs. But of course, fluctuation of things will assure that is not something you can count on by any stretch of the imagination right now. So that's really what it is, man. I want to stay out of that 7-10 range. This is going to be a year where I really don't want to be in the play-in tournament. So we got to keep winning basketball games in this area where the games are a bit softer, because they're going to get tougher by the end of this month and further into February and March. I think the schedule is pretty tough. We're going to be home for a while too. That's another good thing. I don't think we have to leave the state of California for like another 20 days or something like that. It's absolutely crazy how many home games and California games we have slated together. So we're going to try to, weather the storm, hopefully schedule a lot of practices during that process. Of course, the fire threw a lot of things off, but our team is getting the rest that we need just the same. So it's hard to tell what you expect, with us having so much time off lately. But what I hope is that you'll find that the Spurs are rusty and that the Lakers are not. That's what I hope. So that's what's going on, man. Lakers Spurs tonight, and we're going to just try to win these basketball games. Of course, if we lose this game, we fall to 7th place. Don't know what the Clippers situation is tonight, but we are 20-16. They're 20-17. Minnesota's 20-18, and the Sacramento Kings have pulled themselves up to 20-19 on the 7-game winning streak. So Dallas is 22-17. We're not quite close enough. We should have beat them in order to gain the respect we want to be up there with Dallas. We are a half game behind them right now with 20-16. So I guess you can say we are in that range, to be honest with you. And the Denver Nuggets are 23-15. So you see the parity there between 4 and basically 8. 4 and 9. It's not many games separating these teams. You go on a 3-4 game losing streak, and you could tumble all the way out of the playoffs. That's really what it comes down to. So, fight like hell, Lakers, because just the same, we're not too far away from 2nd place, to be honest with you. Go on a little 7-6 game winning streak, and you can find yourself competing with Houston and Memphis for the 3rd spot. Obviously, catching OKC doesn't look realistic, but them other teams, it's not crazy for you to catch them if you can get hot here. So that's what it's about, man. Let's stay above the fray. Stay in the 1 through 6 range, please. Let's not have a one and done play-in tournament situation. Although we've had a lot of success in the play-in tournament, you keep knocking on the door with that, and eventually you're going to lose that game and be out of the playoffs in no time flat. Ask Golden State. They know how that went. So that's pretty much what I got to say, man. 7:30. We'll be ready. BDF 44. Thank y'all for watching. Out.